Well, a very good morning to all the participants present here. We from MIT welcome you all in the 17th chapter of Alumni Connect series, and we have our proud alumni, Avik Goyal, a technical content engineer from Preparation Bytes, who will be guiding us on the roadmap to coding and how to master data structures and algorithms. May I request Mr. Avik Goyal just a second, there's some technical glitch. Yeah.
Hello, I'm audible.
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay.
Can you please turn on the mic? Mic as well as camera.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Hello, Avik. Yeah, sure.
कितने बच्चे अप्लाई किए हैं? अरे बाप रे, 2 सीट भेजी है क्या तुमने? अच्छा 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 उसी लिस्ट में बना देते आगे उसी में कौन कौन प्लेस है?
Hello, is my screen visible?
Yes,
Participants can type yes or no.
screen is visible perfectly.
Hey, the participants, please type yes or no.
Avik, actually, participants can only chat on the chat box. They don't have the right to speak.
Yeah, they can type yes or no in the chat box.
Okay, they are replying. Not an issue.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so please be more interactive. Just type yes or no. Also type it where you are.
We have from REC Mainpuri.
Okay, Shank.
Yeah.
Others, please respond.
Okay, start Avik. They will respond in a short while. You start the topic.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So hi everyone. This is Avik from Prep Bytes. Okay, I'm working at Prep Bytes as a technical content engineer, as mentor, as an instructor for more than 2.5 years. I have mentored more than 3,000 students there. Okay, I will be taking this session today. We'll be talking about what is the importance of coding, how coding is very, very useful in placements. Fine. Which are the topics you need to learn, how to learn different topics, what are the different sites, what are different coding contests, how to improve logic building, time management, and so on. Okay. So first of all, let's start with why coding is important for placements. Fine. So I'll start with some basic companies like TCS, Wipro, and then I will show you interview experiences for Amazon as well. Fine. And you can see here for TCS, for example, in the first round itself, they say that you will get 2 coding questions to solve. Okay. Then in another interview experience, again, there are 2 coding questions to solve. It's a pattern. One more interview experience. Again, there are 2 coding questions to solve. Fine. Wipro, in the first round itself, there are coding questions. Wipro Elite, 2 programs. Again, a Wipro interview experience. Again, 2 coding questions. If you see Amazon, the first round is coding, second round is coding, third round face-to-face interview is also coding. They are asking about projects, and then again they will be asking about the solving coding questions in the face-to-face interviews also. So if you see here, not only in the first round, if the company is good, if the package is higher, in the subsequent rounds, in the face-to-face interviews as well, you will be asked to solve coding questions based on data structures and algorithms. So are you understanding how important it is? Not only Amazon, Google, Facebook, Netflix, Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, any good company you take, Samsung, any good company, not only in the first round, in the subsequent rounds for a software development profile, they will be asking you coding questions. And for the basic companies with 3, 4, 5 LPA packages, they will be asking coding questions in the first round. Accenture, Capgemini, or Wipro, TCS, Infosys. And for TCS and Infosys higher 7 to 8 LPA rounds, they will be asking coding questions in more rounds as well. So are you understanding how important the interview these coding questions are to clear the interview rounds? You can read interview experiences on Geeks for Geeks, Face Prep, or any such site. You will find in any company you go, you will find that they are asking coding questions to solve in a software development role. This is how important it is. Just type yes or no if you're understanding the importance of coding, data structures and algorithms. Just type yes or no in your chat box. Come on. Others too. So I'm just giving you here a base on why we are having this webinar right now. Okay. So just type in which year you are, especially if you are a first and second years, you have a lot of time to invest in data structures and algorithms before your placement starts, or internship placement, or your final year placements. And if you are in third year, you have to be really, really up to the mark on starting with your preparations for data structures and algorithms, because no matter the company, if it is a software development role, you will be asked to solve a data structure question, 1, 2, or 3 questions, depending on the company. Okay, this is how important it is. The interview experience, the coding DSA. Fine. So everyone keep on responding. It will be better if you guys keep on responding with yes or no's, and with whatever you want to ask, you can ask me in Q&A session. We'll have a Q&A session at the end. Okay. Fine. So if we move forward with this, that you understand how important data structure is, then what we need to learn in this. Okay. What are the topics we need to learn, how to practice, where to practice it from? Let's discuss that now. Fine. So this we have covered. Okay. Now, before that, let's see what is the importance of competitive coding. It's a normal, it is coding, and then it is competitive coding. Fine. So it's like you learn chess and then you compete in district level, state level, national level. It's a competition. Okay. So that is competitive coding. But the knowledge you have when you are learning coding, the application of that knowledge in a competitive environment, in a pressurized environment, in a time frame with other coders, in which you get ranks, ratings, and so on, that is competitive coding. Has anyone of you solved some questions on CodeChef, Codeforces, and so on, different websites? Just type me if you have solved them. You may have heard of LeetCode, HackerRank, HackerEarth. Anyone of you have seen those platforms? If you have not, just type no, you have not. I'll discuss those platforms also. Okay, fine. So what is the importance of competitive coding? It is one thing that you have learned data structures and algorithms, the topics which I am going to mention. Right? It is other thing to implement that knowledge in which scenario. That this problem will be solved using this data structure. This problem will be optimally solved if I use this algorithm. Okay, this knowledge is very, very important to clear those rounds. Fine. So if we look upon it, so competitive coding improves problem solving skills, which is the major thing that the companies are asking you. Okay, they are testing you on your problem solving skills only. Fine. Every company will test you in your problem solving skills. So in an interview round, what you have to do is generally you have to solve 2 questions in 1 hour, or 2 questions in 1.5 hours, or 3 questions in 1.5 hours. Fine. Okay. Okay. So in the interview rounds, what will happen is in that 30 in that 1 hour, you have to pace yourself that okay, I have to give this question this much time, and I have to give this question this much time. Okay. So how you will do that? For that you need practice. So for that practice, you need to participate in different competitive coding contests. Okay. So this now when you go to the interview rounds, you have already practiced in 10, 20, 50 contests. Now they will just appear as any other contest. Okay, it's just like a contest. I have practiced 50 contests before this. I am in no pressure right now. Okay, I can handle the situation very easily. Fine. So this is how competitive coding helps. Other is for face-to-face interviews, you will be able to give multiple answers and explain in detail algorithms. When you solve competitive coding questions, it is not that a question will be only solved using one particular approach. A question can be solved using many different algorithms. Fine. Since the question can be solved using many different algorithms, so what we can do is in the face-to-face interviews also, we can give the interviewer different algorithms, and he just needs to be impressed by your knowledge, by your applications, because that is what he's testing you on. He or she is testing you on. Okay. Now the speed and accuracy of solving various problem increases. This is very important. The speed and accuracy increases when you practice more. When you give more contests, obviously the speed and accuracy will increase. Okay, you will be able to think clearly and in a faster approach for solving the questions. Okay, and usage of different data structure algorithms become clear. I have already explained this. And a good rating of competitive coding platforms on your resume is a very good thing. Okay, it's a very good thing if you have a good rating on your resume. It shows that you have given time, you have invested in competitive coding, you have patience, you have knowledge, and you have applied, and you can apply that knowledge. Okay, is this clear how important competitive coding is? Just type yes or no. Okay, great. Okay, so now let's see the topics which we need to learn for data structures and algorithms, and then we will see more about competitive coding platform. Okay. So I have divided the topics into the basic topics. Then we will move on to our data structure topics, and then we'll move on to our algorithm topics. Okay. So the basic topics will be any language which you will learn. We will also discuss which language you can learn: C, C++, Java, or Python. Fine. For learning data structures and algorithms. So it will be data types, operators, if else, loops, functions, arrays, strings, recursion, searching, sorting. Fine. And depending on your language, you will have this, what you say, oops. Oops is only in C++, Java, Python. Structure is only in C, C++. Pointers is only in C and C++. From mathematics, you will be doing prime numbers, GCD, LCM, modular arithmetic, very, very important, probability, PNC, and bit manipulation. Fine. So these are the basic topics which you need to learn before moving to data structures and algorithms. Fine. So there are some basic data structures here. For example, array is present, and some algorithms are also present. For example, searching and sorting algorithms. Fine. So these comes in the basic topics only. Whenever you go for coding, before moving to data structures, you should be aware with all these things. Then you can move to data structures. Find data structures and algorithms. Now, for each topic, how many minimum questions you need to practice, that I will come afterwards. That I will discuss afterwards. Okay. So once you have done this many, then move to data structures. Data structures are simple: linked list, stack, queue, tree, heap, graph. There are 6 data structures that you need to learn. This is our basic data structures. They are very, very important. Obviously, most of the companies will ask questions from the data structures itself, and they need to know whether you can apply different data structures in the need or not, whenever they are needed or not. Okay. With these, you will learn STL in C++, or depending on your language, collection framework in Java or Python. So what is this STL and what is this collection framework is? See, when you are learning data structure, you are learning it from scratch. Fine, you will be learning how to implement stack. You will be learning how to implement linked list or heap, priority queue, graph from scratch. Fine. So, but when you are doing this in competitive coding environment, so in 1 hour, if you have to solve 2 questions, you do not have time to actually implement the whole linked list there and there itself. Fine. So what C++ and Java or Python does is they provide you many inbuilt functionalities to make your coding faster. Now they will provide you an inbuilt linked list, which you can directly use. They will provide you an inbuilt sorting algorithm. So you do not have to write the whole merge sort code or some other quick sort code. Okay, they are already present in STL in collections, depending on the language. They are provided by the language itself. Fine, so that you can code quicker. So when we talk about data structures, you learn linked list, you learn how to implement linked list from scratch. That is fine. And then once you do it, you parallelly learn its inbuilt feature also from the language, whichever language you are going for. You learn stack, you learn the inbuilt. That is very important to learn how the stack is implemented. But after that, you go for the STLs. Okay, they're standard libraries, Akansha. Fine. Similarly with queue, similarly with heap, for whichever data structure inbuilt functionality is present, you simply learn that inbuilt functionality depending on the language of whichever language you are choosing. C does not provide those. So therefore, for competitive coding, C is not recommended. Fine. In C, you have to implement everything from scratch. But C++, Java, or Python does provides inbuilt functionalities, which makes the coding very much faster compared to C. Fine. Okay. Now moving forward with algorithms, you will have divide and conquer paradigm, greedy algorithms paradigm, backtracking paradigm, and dynamic programming paradigm. All these paradigms have different algorithms, different standard questions inside of them. Okay, dynamic programming have different questions. 0-1 knapsack is there. There is M3M, that is matrix chain multiplication is there. MCM. Longest common subsequence is there in dynamic programming. There are various different dynamic programming basic standard algorithms which you need to practice. Fine. So there are 4 paradigms, and inside of them there are different algorithms that needs to be practiced. Okay. So this is okay. So this is about the algorithms. So now we know that which algorithm you need to do. Find which topics you need to do. Let's see for each topic how much questions are needed. Okay. There's some advanced topics, but these advanced topics you only have to do after you have done everything else. Okay, it's segment tree, Fenwick tree, game theory, computational geometry, and fast Fourier transform. It is for good advanced coders. Okay, only high-level companies ask these topics, and there is tries also. One more topics there tries. Okay, but these are advanced topics. You can skip them from down. Fine. So in learn and practice, let's see for basic topics how much. If else, do 5 questions. It is fine because if else will be used in every other question anyway. Loops 10 questions. Functions is theoretical topic. Arrays 15 questions. Very important. Strings 15, recursion 15, searching 15, and sorting 15. Fine. All these topics are very important topics which you need to learn anyway. You cannot skip any topic from this list. OOPS is theoretical, structures, pointers is theoreticals. Then we have maths. We have prime number 5 questions, GCD LCM 5 questions, modular arithmetic 10 questions, very important, will be used in many different questions. Okay, probability 5, PNC 5, bit manipulation 10. So these are around 130 coding questions. So you see, only in the basic topics, there are around 130 coding questions which you need to solve just to tell, okay, I know these topics. So it is like you know arrays, you know strings, you know recursion, you know searching, you know sorting. Just to tell that you know these things, you need to practice these many questions. These questions will not give you what, okay, you actually are mastering these topics. You are not mastering these topics, you are learning these topics. To learn these topics, these many questions are definitely needed. Fine, just to tell everyone, okay, I know searching. You have to solve 15 questions. There are many different algorithms, many different variations of questions in searching also. Fine. sorting has many different algorithms in it. You need to practice those algorithms and then solve some basic questions on those algorithms. Okay. So just to understand this, just to tell that I know these topics, you need to solve them. 130 questions will make your base for coding to start data structures. Are you understanding this point? It's a very important point. Come on, just say yes or no. Are you understanding this point? Now, from where you can practice these questions, this I will give you. Okay, this I will explain from where you can practice these questions. Fine. Okay, come on. Come on, others also keep participating. Just type yes or no whether you're understanding this or not. Fine. So let's move on to data structures now. So if you go to data structures, linked list 10, stack 10, queue 8, tree 15, heap 10, and graph 15. So it's how much? 10, 10, 10, 30, 30, 60, 68, around 70 questions. So 70 questions in data structures. Just to get cleared with data structures, okay, just to have a very good idea what graph is, you have to solve 15 questions. Because there are so many variations in graph that where to apply DFS, where to apply BFS, the graph algorithms. Okay, there are weighted graphs, directed graphs, undirected graphs. So it is so many things in graph itself that at least 15 questions you have to solve just to get the basic ideas for all of them. Different type of questions. Similarly for trees, there is binary tree, there is binary search tree. Now there are many algorithms in that trees, different these two trees. So you have to solve minimum 15 questions. Fine. Heap or priority queue is there, 10 questions, and linked list tag 10, 10, and 8. So this 70 questions here, 130 questions above, so it comes out to be 200, around 200 questions till data structures. Fine. And moving forward with algorithms, Devangonga 15, greedy 15, 30 more, 230, backtracking 245, and dynamic programming 260. So 225 questions more. So total 260 questions. Dynamic programming 25 because just the standard questions of dynamic programming are very, very high. If you just search for the standard questions asked in dynamic programming, it will come around 20. Around 20 to 25 questions are only standard. Okay, means they are present everywhere. Most of the students know it. Most of the interviewer know it. Okay, they are not much of a challenge to give to a student for a higher level company. Okay, they are very standard questions. They are very good questions to understand dynamic programming. Right? So there are these 260 questions, around 260 questions. After you've done this, then you can say, okay, I have learned DSA. I have learned coding in one of the language. After you have done these 260 questions. Fine. Then okay, yes, I have done DSA. You have not mastered it. You have just learned it. It's like you have learned rules and what are the different openings in chess or different closings, what you have to do in this scenario. You have learned that much. Only you have learned it. Fine. The applications are very much different. Okay, so these are the topics which you need to do, this much practice you need to do. Now let's see from where, what are different sites that you can use for this practicing. Okay. Okay, before that, this is a very common question most of the students ask, that which language to choose? C, C++, Java or Python? Which language to choose? Fine. So if you have not yet started coding in any language, except C, because C college teaches. So if you have not yet started C++, Java or Python, start with C++. The reason being C++ have OOPS, that is Java Python feature. It also has structures and pointers, which comes to be C. So you will learn everything that is needed. Structure pointers also, and all the OOPS concepts as well, the high level concepts as well. Okay, and it is most widely used in competitive programming because it is much faster than Java or Python. Its execution time is faster than Java or Python. If you have not started with anything, first do C++. If you have already started with Java, Python, you are comfortable with Java or Python, do everything which I just told you, all the topics in that language. It's fine. Java, Python are very great languages. Okay, do it in Java or Python if you have already done it. Fine. Now see this. I know all the 4 languages, so I am speaking with experience. Just if you do those 250 questions in one language, learning another language will only take 1 month. The reason being, you already are aware of all the theory. You already are aware of all the logics. You have already practiced in one of the language. You just need to learn the syntax of other language. You do not need to learn the logic of other language. Logic is already done. Logic is language independent. It is already done. You have to learn the syntax only, and learning the syntax takes hardly a month. You just learn some syntax, you practice 5 questions based on it, that's it. You have learned the syntax. So any language you are doing, do for that language, solve 250 questions. And then if you want to switch, or if you want to learn more than one language, you can simply learn that in a month time. Are you understanding this thing? Just type yes or no. Fine. Okay, great. See, now many people are replying. Okay, great. So this covers that which language you can choose to start with, or if you are already learning, how you can switch it. Fine. Okay. So now moving with our different what are the coding contests. Okay, so let me just share my screen just a second. So I will be sharing these links with you. These are the links for the different coding websites. Okay, where you can go and you can practice. My code, CodeChef, LeetCode, and Codeforces is very good. Okay. These 4 websites is which I follow generally. There are HackerRank and HackerEarth as well, but these 4 are the websites which I follow generally. Okay, so I'm sharing the links with you guys. You can save those links. So for each, I will just introduce each of these websites to you, so you guys can start practicing whenever you need. Okay. Okay, I've shared all the links. So if you have just started, you are learning, you are in learning phase of a roadmap, fine. So you can start with my code. The reason is simple. When you are learning, you need to start what you say. You need the questions categorized for you. Okay, so if you go to my code and you go to personalized mode, you will get the questions already categorized for you. Fine. So if you go for, see, all these topics will be logged for you. All these topics will be logged except fundamentals. Right? You go to fundamentals, you saw at least 75% questions of the fundamentals. Okay, 75%. These questions are for if else, for loop, and so only this. If else, for loop, fine, and operators. So operators, if else, and for loop questions are there, easy, medium, and hard. If you just solve 75% of this, then your next topic, arrays and strings, will be unlocked. Now, when you go to array, then only questions which will be solvable using arrays and fundamentals will be present in array. Then if you go to strings, then only questions which are solvable using strings, arrays, and fundamentals will be present in strings. Are you getting what I'm saying? So if you are in sorting, all the previous topics plus sorting questions will be present in sorting. So the questions which are solved using stack will not be present in sorting. So you will be going in a road, a journey. Okay, step by step, when you are learning, you will only learn for that topic. It is the questions are already categorized in such a manner. Fine. So when you are learning phase, I would prefer my code, and for practicing, there are all these 3 sites. Go to CodeChef, go to LeetCode, and go to Codeforces. For practicing also, we have the practice mode. So if you want to stick with my code, stick with my code. If you want to switch, switch. It's a choice. Okay. So if you go to CodeChef, you go to practice and learn, and you go to practice. So you can see here, you can choose by difficulty level, and you can start practicing. Fine. So these are the beginner questions. Now these questions are mixed. They can be solved using anything, any topic. These questions are mixed topics. They're not divided by topics. Okay. If you go to lead code, here also you will find, you can search, let's say you want to solve string questions. So you can just click on strings here and you will get the questions which are solved using strings. But there is a catch here. Okay, I will show you what. If you just go, let the questions load, just a second. Huh. So if you just click on show problem text here, let's see. So see, it is solved using string, but it also uses hash table. It is solved using string, but it also using dynamic programming. Okay, it's string dynamic programming. Okay, and what you say, string backtracking is there, string stack is there. So these questions are not just solved using strings. These questions are also having higher level topics. They are not perfectly divided that this question will only be solved using string. For example, this question is only solved using string. So once you practice string questions, those 15 string questions, then you can come to lead code and solve zigzag conversion. You can try solving zigzag conversion. But then also you will not be able to solve longest palindromic substring because this is a dynamic programming question. Once you practice dynamic programming, then you can solve this question. Are you understanding? So therefore, I am saying when you are starting your practicing, go for my code because the questions are divided according to the topic perfectly already. Okay, and then for practicing, go for all these 3 sites where there are various questions which you can practice. You can see here, this question is based on greedy math and sorting, blue-red permutation. This question is based on constructive algorithms and sorting. This question is for greedy and number theory. So you can practice many different questions on different sites. Once you have done those topics and the questions, those 250 questions which I've told you. Is this clear? This type, yes or no? Okay, great. So coming to coding contests, so there are long coding contests and short coding contests. There are 2 types of coding contests. Okay. So when we talk about coding contests, so one is long, that is they are week long, means there are 7, 8 or 10 days long contests. Fine. So in these 10 days, you will be getting around 8 questions to solve, 8 to 10 questions to solve. Now you might be thinking, sir, there are 10 days to solve only 10 coding questions. Why? The questions are difficult. Some question will take 1 day, 2 days, 3 days to solve one question. Okay, just one question will take that many days. Why long coding contests are occurring? Because they give you time and to think, to research, and to learn new algorithms while the contest is going on. So while the contest is going on, you can research on different algorithms that you might think that will be applicable. You can research on, you can learn those algorithms, you can try implementing them while the contest is going on. Okay, that's why they are 10 days long. So you learn different things. Then now the long contest you can start giving once your basic topics are over. So the basic topics which I've told you, once those basic topics are over, then you can start giving these long questions, long coding contests. Fine. So there are 8 questions. So around 2-3 questions will be there from the basic topics. Right, 2-3 or 3-4 questions will be there from the basic topics. You can try to solve them. Coming to short contests, which are 2 to 3 hour contests, your interview rounds will be short contests. Okay, 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hours. Fine. They will help you to think faster in a pressure environment. So now you have just 3 hours to solve 5 questions, or 2.5 hours to solve 5 questions. Now you need to learn how you can pace yourself. So very easy questions should just take 5 to 7 minutes. Then the second question should just take 10 minutes. The third question should take maximum 15 to 20 minutes, and the fourth question should take around half an hour. The fifth question should take around half an hour. They are harder questions. So you need to pace yourself in such a manner that those 2.5 questions you have enough time depending on the difficulty level of the question. So you need to practice these things, and these things you practice while solving the short context. Fine. So the most coding rounds are like short contests, most coding interview rounds. they should be given once you have enough practice of long contest. Okay, you have done 5-6 long contests, and after that you can move on to switch to short contest. Okay, and they should be given when you have at least done DSA. And if you are eager to give short contest, you can also give them after the basic topics are done. But only 1 or 2 questions will be present from the basic topics. Okay. Once you are done with DSA till graph, then you can have around 3-4 questions based on those topics only. Fine. So are the difference between the short and the long contest clear? The 2 types of contests that you will have on a coding platform. What are different coding platforms you have? For example, you have CodeChef. So CodeChef have let's say monthly 1 long contest and 2 short contests generally. Okay. So November long challenge is already there. So you can see the duration is 10 days. Okay, and it ends in 2 days. It's already going on. Then you can see there are some short contests which are here. Start 17 is present. That is a 3-hour contest. It will start in 4 days. Okay. Then there is start 18. Again, there's a 3-hour contest. So there's some short contests are present here. So you can participate in the short contest, but for now, let's focus on long contest. If, for example, you also have MyCode. If you go to contest, you will see a marathon is going on. 10 days marathon is going on right now. Fine. You can it is started today. You can participate in it, and there are short contests also available. For short contest, Codeforces is very, very good. The reason being, they have weekly short contests. Okay, so Codeforces is really great for short contests. They have weekly short contests. They will give you editorials also after the contest, and there are very good questions in there. Fine. For interview preparations, go for LeetCode, GFG, or MyCode. Okay, so we do have our interview preparation board also. You can say interview coding and company-wise coding. Similarly, LeetCode is very good for interview preparation. Fine. So once you are starting with your coding, means you want to participate in some short contest, go for MyCode or Codeforces. For long contest, go for MyCode or CodeChef. Fine. So these are the type of contests that are there, and which contest you can practice. But first of all, you need to practice the topics. You first need to learn, you need to gain the knowledge, and then only the contest part will come. It is not that you can just after the webinar itself you start giving contests. First you have to learn the topics, and then you can give the contests. Okay. So before moving this, now where can you learn it from? So I will give you some websites. They are very good website if you want to learn some languages. So we have learncpp.com. This is if you are learning C++, it's really, really good. Really, really good. C and C++. Okay, mainly C++, but C will also do. Now we have another website called Real Python. Real Python is very, very good for Python, guys. Okay, the articles are really great. Fine. So just a second. This one. Go for this. They are free websites. Okay, for C++ and Python. Here. So we have I have shared you for C++ and Python, and Java community is very large. There is no such one website which is perfect for Java. Java has different websites, and you can learn from different platforms for Java. Okay. So this too you can use for free practices, and you can use GFG, MyCode, and all these 4 coding platforms are free for practice. You can go anywhere, and there is no need to pay anything, and you can practice it from there. Again, these are the free websites which you can use for learning. Obviously, GFG is also there for articles. You can find various different articles there. Okay. Fine. Other than this, I will also share my company's website with you. So if you want mentorship, okay, then if you want the paid courses, you can go for PrepBytes. Okay. So I have prepared the coding questions here. I have prepared the video lectures here. So you can simply go for them. These are paid courses. Fine. So you can start with placement programs or coding programs, and they will be done. Fine. So they all follow the same approach which I've already explained to you. We have more than 250 plus questions divided into different topics. It will go topic by topic. We'll have weekly live sessions, and there are doubt solving support present 13 hours a day. Fine. So you can simply, but these are paid. Okay. And I've given you paid also, and I've given you free resources also to learn coding. Fine. So you can start with any of them. It's completely your choice, and just follow the roadmap which I've given you, and that will be really good. Now, if you want to ask any questions, you guys can ask me. Just type it out, whichever question you want to ask. How about preparations for the interviews, or how you can start with coding, which subject you need to learn. You just type it out. Okay, I'll answer those questions. Anything you guys want to discuss. Other than this, I can discuss about mainly about time management if you guys want. Just a second. So I can give you a basic timetable for this. Okay, so I'll give you a basic timetable that most of you can follow. See, what my timetable suggests is you have to give 2 hours in a day at such a time where no one will disturb you. Now it can be morning 6 to 8, or it can be night 12 to 2 or 1 to 3. If you are in insomnia, go for 1 to 3 or 12 to 2. That is very fine with me. If you are a morning person, go for 6 to 8 or 7 to 9. That is also fine with me. Fine. So just you have to give 2 hours where no one will disturb you. There will be no notifications. There will be no Instagram reels. Nothing. You just have to study in those 2 hours. Give any time you want, at night or in the morning. Then your whole day is free. If you give 6 to 8, then from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. in the evening, do anything you want. You have your colleges, you have your friends, food, ask doubts, whatever you want, do it. Then again, give 1 hour for studies, and then give 1 hour for studies from 9 to 10. 4 hours of study in a day, actually just 2 hours of study in a day. If you actually look at it in your time, because most of you will wake up at night, 9, okay, or 9 or 10, especially in these times, COVID times, okay, depending on your colleges. So now, see, you are just giving 2 hours, 6:30 to 7:30 and 9 to 10 actually. But those 2 hours which you give uninterrupted in the morning 6 to 8 or the night 12 to 2 increments that to 4 hours. Generally, you will see how I can give 4 hours in a day. This is how you can give 4 hours in a day. Okay, it's not different. It's not difficult to give 4 hours in a day. It's very easy. Fine. So if you take my example, my office starts from 10 and it goes till 8 or 9. Okay, we work in a startup. We have to work a lot. Okay, so the me time is morning 5 to 9. I wake up at 5 a.m. and till 9 a.m. I can do anything I want. If I want to learn anything new, I can do it. If I want to do my masters, I can do it. If I want to see any new, movie, I can do it. If I want to see any new TV series, I can do it. It's my time. No one is disturbing me at that time. Whatever I want. And then my day starts. My actual day. Now, this is what I am saying to you. You have to give 2 hours, which is your time, in which you have to study. Now, if now depends on your priority, you can study data structure algorithms in that, or you can do your projects in that, or you can do your assignments in that, whatever you want. And then 1 hour in the whole day, just give 1 hour anytime you want. But they should be uninterrupted. Your mobile should not come into that picture. Fine. So this is what I am suggesting, and I think you guys can follow. If you actually write down what you do whole day, if you actually do it, you will find out that how much time many of us waste. You have a lot of time, but most of the time goes to the procrastination. You just watch the ceiling and you just keep on thinking, I will do it from tomorrow. Just note down what you are doing the whole day as a timetable, and you will see how you can improve your time, how you can invest more time into actual things that you actually need. Fine. So this is my advice to you for the journal timetable that most of you guys can follow. Okay. And next thing is, if you do not have coding clubs in your colleges, just create a coding club. It will really help you to improve your logic building. If you are solving a question and you are not able to solve the question, you can put that in your coding club. Now you can discuss this with your peers and your college friends. Okay, and then it will become easier just to think on a question. Now many different people will be thinking on that question, and you will be able to solve it. Fine. You can create contests, different contests for that club on monthly basis. You can do many different things when you are in a coding club. Fine. So you can keep on discussing, keep on learning new algorithms on a daily basis. So if you do not have a coding club, create a coding club. Fine. How many questions should you solve every day? No. Do not think that you can solve these many questions in a day. Maybe a question is hard. You will take 2 days to solve one question. It doesn't depend on you how many questions can you solve in every day. It depends on the question. If you're choosing only easy questions, you can solve even 10 questions a day. But if you're choosing a hard question, it might take a 2 day to solve one question. What you should do, you should be solving each, you should be investing 4 hours each day. That is in your hands. 3 to 4 hours, 6 days a week. One day is a holiday. So 6 to 4 hours, 4 hours, 6 days a week. You have to invest. That is in your hands. That is not in any other hands, anyone else's hands. You should invest it, and you can invest it. Fine. So this should be your goal. Should be uninterrupted time you can invest on your studying for 6 days a week, 4 hours each day. Fine. Okay. Okay. Now this is one more important FAQ: how to concentrate for longer durations. So whenever you think that you cannot concentrate anymore, take a quick break, listen to one soothing song, or watch some comedy videos, 5 minutes clip. So do anything which soothes you, which makes you happy. Talk to someone, talk to your family members, talk to your girlfriend, boyfriend, or talk to your friends, watch a friend's clip, a comedy clip, listen to a song, do anything you want in that 10 minutes to make your brain happy. Now, and this is a proven take, the third point is this, that what you have to do is, actually there are 100 things your minds are thinking. Now for those 100 things, you have to concentrate all those 100 things only to studying, which is very difficult. Okay, so what you can do is start counting in reverse only odd numbers from 30, let's say. You will see 29, 27, 25, 23, 21, 19, 18. So now your mind is only concentrated on one task, not 100 tasks, only one task of reverse counting. And you can increase the difficulty of reverse counting if you want. Now from that one task, you need to switch your thinking, or you need to switch your concentrator into studying, which is easier. And this is a proven technique. You can research on internet. Okay, so instead of 100 things that your mind is thinking and making those concentration on studying, first concentrate on reverse thinking, one thing, and then switch to studying, which will be much easier. Okay, if you are studying for 2 hours, you should take only 15 minutes break at maximum. Fine. This already explained. Yeah, I will share these links with you. So these are motivation links, okay, which you guys can do. So which you guys can easily go and see on YouTube. So these motivation videos will not help you to study 2 more hours. These motivational videos will help you to study more 20 minutes. That's it. This is what is the impact of these motivation videos are, 20 minutes. Okay. Because what they will do is they will simply give you more let's say push to study for some more time. Fine. So watch those motivation videos. For this first channel, you can go to the playlist of impact theory, watch the videos and study more 15 to 20 minutes. That's it. Fine. Okay. Now you guys can ask some of your Q&As. So to learn a language, if you have a good YouTube channel, you can go for a good YouTube channel, Simran, or for C++ and Python, I've shared the two websites. They are very good websites. Okay, they are better than YouTube channels. You can learn from those two websites for C++ and Python. Okay. Other? Come on, guys. You can put your questions which you want to ask. See, I am mentoring students from last 2.5 years. I have mentored more than 3,000 students in PrepBytes. I can answer many different questions that you guys may be wanting to ask from your seniors or from your juniors. Fine. So come on. Take the chance, ask the questions. Whatever you want to ask about any different topic, what you can do, what should you learn. Come on, you guys can ask it. Anyone? Okay, for TCS Digital, for this, if you are doing that DSA topic, DSA, you need at least 4 to 5 months. Shashank. Means if you are in 4th year, you do not have 4 to 5 months, then you have to study a lot, maybe 8 hours a day, and complete in 2 or 3 months. That's a very different approach. But if you have time, if you're in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd year, and you can give 4 to 5 months, it will take around 4 to 5 months to prepare that whole syllabus which I have told you. It's fine if you directly run C++ also. It's not an issue. That you can directly run C++, because in C++ also you will learn everything from basics, and then you will learn how to use the inbuilt implementation. Okay. Similar. Okay, so if you are a final year student, then the strategy will be completely different from you. For you, because I don't think you have enough time for this. So Shashank, what you have to do is you have to research on TCS Digital. You have to research on you have to at least see 20 to 30 interview experiences on different coding on different websites like GFG or FacePrep. You have to make a list of the topics from which they are generally asking, and you have to just concentrate on those topics, and then give 1 month to learn those topics. Are you understanding the strategy? Read as many interview experiences as you can, prepare a list of questions that they are asking, technical and HR, and only practice those questions and those topics mainly. That will increase your chance, because you do not have more time to study any other thing since you are in final year already. Okay. So that is the strategy for that. Come on. Anyone else? Any questions? Okay. Can you get this PPT? Sir, can we share the PPT with them?
Yeah, sure. I will share the PPT with the intended participants.
Okay.
They will share the feedback of the session held today. They'll be sharing their insights at what they gained in this session, and corresponding to that, I will share the PPT. You can just share this with me.
Okay, sir. Okay. Fine. Okay, guys.
So I think no more questions are there in this session now.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay. Just a second, week. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I, on behalf of MIT Meerut, would like to present a token of appreciation to our esteemed alumni, Mr. Avik Goyal, for giving such an insightful session, a very important topic, a roadmap to coding and how to master data structures and algorithms. It's generally seen that everybody has a fear that they don't know coding, that what are the things they require to build their career in coding. So he gave a very beautiful explanation about basic steps which we need to follow to excel ourselves in the coding domain. Thank you, Avik. We are looking forward for such session in future also. The content which you have shared will be shared with all the participants here, as well as all to the alumni, as well as the students of MIT fraternity.
Thank
And
you,
last
sir.
but not the least, I would like to thank the participants. Today, as I'm seeing the list of the participants, they are the same participants which are coming regularly, and this is a motivation factor for all of us to conduct such sessions. And it's only because of your continuity that we are on the 17th chapter of Alumni Connect. Thank you once again. We have one more session on 27th November, scheduled under Alumni Connect only, by a Microsoft engineer, Mr. Tushar Gupta, who will be discussing about how to make yourself industry ready. The link I have already shared the feedback form, so you can fill that also if anybody is interested for that webinar. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Avik.
Thank you, sir.